Welcome back to 4 in Friday with myself, HRT Rich, and 22-1 Thomas off to Victorian Racing in Australia. I'm really enjoying these 4 in Fridays, Tom, especially when we find horses week after week that pay more than $30 that top the tickets.
That's something to be always happy about. If you're not,
we got to keep that streak alive.
You're in the wrong game because let's face it, it's nice to be able to hit something decent.
Well, I think in this group of races that we're going to be covering 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, of which all but one of those races is 7 furlongs. So we're going to get a good idea of what the bias for 7 furlongs is. But you have deep fields
straight away too, so makes it even more interesting.
You got deep fields, big money at stake, at least one race over $1 million. So I think there's plenty of opportunity tonight if you're sitting around, kind of feet up. No more football to handicap for the weekend. One big race tomorrow.
Well, there's football to handicap, but that's the real football.
Soccer, yes,
not the American version of it.
The football, and but the real big race tomorrow at Fairgrounds too, at the Risen Star. One of the pretty big race, but shortly they're going to start getting into those 50-pointers where the winner is going to go to the Derby no matter what.
Yeah, well, and the Rachel Alexander is also on that card, and that's not for the Kentucky Oaks racing race. That is can be a very significant race.
Yes. So now with the Derby, this time we're going to try to get ourselves prepped a little bit earlier to do a little bit of pre-race webinar action. We'll see if we can actually get our act together. All right, Tom. I know we got our act together today for.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
hopefully we got some decent winners.
Yeah, but I know we got our act together. We're ready to go.
Rock and roll.
So in terms of 5, it's the Francis.
Well, you're cutting in and out.
There's my internet signal for whatever reason is going in and out right now. Perfect timing in that regard.
Absolutely.
So hopefully I stay online. If not, Tom, 7 furlongs, 1,400 meters. When we look at the track as we like to do, 1,400 meters, they're going to start and make their way around that track. That one big sweeping turn to the finish line. Coming through that sweeping turn, Tom, what do you want to see from your horses running style-wise?
I like the mid-pack to forwardly placed type. Dead closers for 1,400 is not my first choice.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a look then at which
horses pace can play a factor in that, so we never know. I guess he dropped away again.
I don't know what's going on, folks. Am I here or not?
You're now here.
I'm here. My internet signal's like 1 bar. I don't know why. I pay my bill, RCN. Maybe I should get a new provider. But you mentioned the Speed, Sparkle, and Wish Lore Last. They look like they have a pretty good early edge on everybody else at the jump. Let's see if they can maintain that edge as the race goes into the settling position.
You're out in and out again.
Yeah, I don't get it. Stupid internet. What do we do before technology, Tom? Anyhow,
rabbit ears.
Yeah, with aluminum foil and a couple of well-placed bangs on the side of the TV.
And then you had somebody stay by the window with the rabbit ears, so everybody else watch TV.
And anybody under, what would you say, about 45 has no idea what we're talking about?
Yeah, they're clueless.
Yeah. So looking at the pace here, Tom, it looks to me like not a lot of early speed. So it could be one that sets up for early pace. Back here, as you mentioned, deep closer could be a struggle based upon this race shape. And as they come down the stretch, really no great advantage for any one particular horse. Sparkle from Japan, maybe tires at the end at 41-1. Tom, I think you probably nailed that right. Somebody who's close to the front or in the board should do pretty well. And who do you think it is that will get the job done?
I'm going to put one who likes to run near the front as my top choice, and that is number 3, Wish Lore Last from Barrier 6. After finishing 6th in her first try at a Group 1, she used a barrier trial, which she won, to prepare for this race. But she has a spotless record at this distance. She's 4 for 4. And she's also 2 for 2 in Group 3s. She's been running at 1,600 meters lately in the last 2, and she drops back to the distance, well, she's 4 and 4 at. Guess what distance they probably should be running her at?
Probably this one, I would think.
I'm thinking this one, and I think she is definitely the favorite, and I think she's going to be very hard to beat. With that, I'm going to take number 8, Forbidden City, who's going to break from barrier 9. This is a horse that is excellent in finishing in the money at this distance. Doesn't win, though. Got 11 starts at this distance with 6 placings. That's not bad. In her last race, she did what she's best at. She got a placing. She was 3rd at Caulfield in a 1,400-meter race. It was a benchmark 48 race, so a little lesser than this bunch. She's placed 3 times from 6 starts in Group 3 races. So placing, yes. Winning, nope.
The Tom horse.
Yeah. And my final choice is going to be number 1, Revolutionary Miss with barrier 1. She ran 3rd in her last race, an listed race. It was at Gold Coast, and she was the favorite in that race. She's using a barrier trial to prepare for this one. Did well. She's won at this level before. A little question about that last race she ran when in the listed, because that was a step down. She's good enough to beat this bunch. I don't know about this time around.
So Thomas, I'm going to start with a horse that you don't have. And I don't know if maybe I just kind of mixed up this day here down there in Australia, but I'm going to start with Foxy Frida. Love the alliterations, but this one does have the best record at the track of the group that are here. 9 races out, won 4 of them, 2nd in there as well. Done pretty well at the distance too. 10 times out, that same 4 wins and a.
He's in and out again.
Yeah. I can hear you the whole time, so I don't understand why I'm going out.
That's scary.
Am I back or not?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. So my only concern about Foxy Frida is the first start after a layoff. It's just a couple of wins and a couple seconds and 7 tries. But if she's ready to go, Foxy Frida could be pay off at a nice price. As long as I'm here, Thomas, let's go ahead and talk about my second pick in this spot. Maybe my computer's not really working the way I want it to work. So Eternal Flame, the 10 horse is my second choice. Looking at Eternal Flame, it's making the classic 3rd start after a layoff. And I do like the fact that its last race was more than 2 seconds faster than its prior start at 7 furlongs. Almost always an indication for me when I'm going through the past performances of a horse coming to form. Number 3, the one that you picked, Tom, as your top choice, Whistler Last. I did note that the horse is 4 for 4 at the distance. Kind of hard to argue with that. My only concern is that the horse might not like the course. Been at the track 2 times, hasn't touched the board yet. So one of those O's has got to go. And then finally, the Treasured Star is my 4th pick. Treasured Star is today or nothing for this guy at a price. This horse is making its 2nd start after a layoff. You look at the 2nd start record for this guy, it is 2 times out, 2 W. So again, all or nothing today at 41. And then if you look at the horse on a good surface, I should mention it is a good 4. That is the rating today. All of its wins came on a good surface. And I should also point out that this race will start at approximately 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So you don't got to stay up all that late to catch these races tonight, Thomas. I still here?
Yeah, but in and out still.
In and out still. All right. Well, hopefully I stay in more than out for the rest of the show. What a great time for the internet to go a little goofy on me.
Timing is everything.
Yes, the live. It's the fun part of going live.
Yeah,
again, we got to set.
Must be the dog on the internet. You know, she's probably really chowing it up on the dog TV stuff.
Either that or someone's taking some aluminum foil and rubbing it on there, right? Trying to go back to the 70s. Again, another 7 furlongs or where they're running 1,400 meters. Going to start in that chute back here. So pay attention to race number 5, see how that plays out in terms of bias. But again, shape could be different from race to race, which will impact the pace and the fractions and all of that. In this spot, Tom, again, we got a couple of horses that look like they have more speed than the rest. In fact, most of them look like they want to be middle back again. That should favor horses that get towards the front. If we look at the settling position, a little bit more crowded this time than last time out. So could open up the door for a horse to come in from off the pace at the end, especially if this group goes a little bit too fast. On the closing speed, you do have most of them pretty tightly mixed in again, except for the 4 and the 1. I don't know that either one of us has the 4 and the 1. I didn't really get a chance to see your picks before today. So go ahead and let me know. Do you have the 4 and 1, either one, on the top of your ticket?
I don't.
All right.
I took a maiden winner for my top choice, which is number 11, La Castonia. She's got barrier 4 going to come out of. And I should mention that this race, of course, is young horses. These are 3-year-olds. Mm-hmm. So, we're back to, we're going to have lightly raced and a little more heavier race type. So I think there's always that big wild card in these kind of races.
You just don't know what you're going to get.
She's 1 for 1. She won 1,300 meters. She had a really quick final 600 meters. And in that race, she went wire to wire. Obviously moving up in class here. But I think there's a lot of upside on her. And I'm going to say, why not take one that's got less experience, but we'll see how it does in this kind of a field. The barrier is certainly the right place to break from. Number 8, Tylus is going to be my next one. Barrier 3 is winner of her last 2 races. They were at at a benchmark and a maiden race. Both of them were wire-to-wire ones. She's run in other races, and then her streak started. So obviously something got turned around there.
And if you hit those two, 23 to 1 on 101, you can just wrap it up for the rest of the night.
Yeah, you can go to bed. Distance is a question for me on this. On this race, but I really think she's got a good chance to hit the board. And then I'm going to take number 3, Basilina, my final choice, barrier 1. Average effort in her barrier trials, but she's done okay in her starts. 5 starts, 4 times in the money, and she got a win out of that bunch. That was going at 1,600 meters, and she ran close to the pace. Time was good, and she's proven herself to run in the money, obviously, for other races. But I just think she's my 3rd pick for a reason, and I'm going to put her there.
I will start, hopefully, and stay with the 9 horse, Pink Chandon. That's my first selection. This one, when you read the comments for the last race, said, well won with plenty in hand. So I don't think the horse used everything it needed to use in that race, Thomas. So I think you're going to see a better effort here. Number 2 is my second choice, Molly Knickers. That has to mean something anyway. Unlike the fact that we look at the race where
out again,
speed could
back in and out.
Strange. I'm hearing you the whole time. I don't know what's up with the internet, folks. I apologize. Hopefully it stays on. But Molly Knickers, while I'm here, hopefully here, will be coming hard at the end and does drop from a Group 1. Next up for me, provided I haven't ticked out, is number 5, horse Tom. One of my favorite, it is my favorite type to bet on, which is
all or nothing.
Yes, sir. You could see here 6 races, won 4 of them, missed the board on all of the rest. The only time the horse did take a crack at 7 furlongs, won that race. And on the last race, the horse finished about a second faster than it did in the prior start. Again, one of the things I like to look for, horses that are improving their fractions. I find that to be a good tell that the horse is going to do well. Then I stopped where you started, Tom, with the one horse that came off its maiden win last time out, La Casonoa, something along those lines. I'm taking a crack that this horse might make it to 2-0. Tom, the trainer here, Cyron Maher, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he'll never know one way or the other. He's the top trainer year to date at Australia, collecting 164 wins in the last year, I would guess. And he's also
well, that'll be
up
over the season. Remember, they're a reverse of us.
So I think I went out again because I heard your voice do the robot. So hopefully I'm not out. But when you team them up in that winningest trainer with the jockey here, they combine to win at 19%, where the jockey usually only wins at about 12%. So you're getting a big upgrade on the jockey's performance. Feeling that with that top trainer, to beat a top trainer, you got to do a pretty good job of spotting your horses, Tom. And putting a horse that's run once at a level this high, must think he can handle it.
He must. I looked at those numbers, but I also thought the horse, because of the way it ran that race, it was a pretty quick race, relatively speaking. Now, do I think this horse will be on the lead this race? Maybe, or maybe it'll be a little more tactical.
Yeah, but 164 wins, you're pretty good at figuring out where your horses belong. And I would suspect if you didn't think he didn't belong or have a chance, you wouldn't see it in this race. You'd see it at something kind of building its way to this kind of spot. Race number 7 is the C.S. Hayes Stake. The C.S. Hayes Stakes will kick off at approximately 11:40 p.m. Once again, they're going to go 1,400 meters. Once again, they're going to come out of that chute. They're going to make that turn. They're going to sprint on home. As they come out of that chute, let's take a look at who's going to have the lead. Ooh. Ambassadorial, pretty much out on the class of its own out there. So maybe some lone speed there, Thomas. Settling position. It's not really considered a front runner type. Everybody else wants to be middle back. This shape should favor horses that are middle forward. As far as your closing speed, really not a big difference between any of them. So again, another case to make for horses that'll be more towards the front than the back. Tom, who's going to finish at the front in your view when it is all said and done?
I'm going to start with number 7, Otago, with barrier 3. Has 2 career starts and 2 wins, and has won at this distance at Flemington at a lower level. Won his barrier as his prep for this race, and obviously is moving up. Should be forwardly placed in this race, and I think it's going to win. Number 1, Riff Rocket is going to be my next choice from barrier 5. Comes off this race after some, I would say average barrier trials of a 4th and a 6th, but that may be by intent. You never know. He's never not won at this distance from one try, but he is a Group 1 winner at a distance of 2,500 meters. Well, that's a big difference than 1,400. Got 2 for 3 at this track, so he's been pretty good at the track, but he's been going longer distance, and that is my question mark. With this horse, is this distance the right distance, or is this a prep for something else? But on the other hand, hit the board, get some money, and move them up. Finally, I'm going to take Cap Ferret as my final choice. That's number 8. It's going to break from barrier 7. It comes in this race after 2 barrier trials, which I think both I can consider useful. I did watch one, so that was good. The last races were at Group 3 and Group 1 levels, where he ran 3rd and 2nd, and then both these were at Caulfield. This will be his first start at this track for a horse who's never won. Yeah, this is an interesting horse. It's placed 4 out of its 9 times, never won a race, but has placed in group races. You go figure. They're still being aggressive with it, putting in this race. So that's why I had to put it in. They must see something.
I like the 1 horse Riff Rocket, 7.5 to 1. I like those to the penny odds right there. This one raced in a lot of key races, Thomas, where horses that were in the race that either it beat or it was beaten by came back to win more races after that. This horse is 2 for 2 in its first starts after a layoff. That's what we're going to catch today. And it's dropping down in class from a Group 1 effort. Run, Harry, or Run, Harry, Run. Yes, Run, Harry, Run. That's probably what his brother told him before he met Meghan Markle, or before he said yes. But
Either that or he's very hairy. I don't know.
Anyhow, Run, Harry, Run. Probably not a bad idea for Harry. This one is won 3 in a row. A couple of them have come at the distance, Thomas, including a group 3, and all of them on a good surface. You can see right here, and 2 for 2 at the distance. I think a solid horse at $9. Yeah, I'll take that for Run, Harry, Run. Otaga, the 7 horse. I think there's one you and I agreed on, if I remember correctly.
We did.
This guy's run both of his races pretty easily, pretty handily, and then and both times well backed by the punters. And one of those W's came at the distance and at the track. So we know it can handle the 7 furlong out of the chute affair with that one sweeping turn at Flemington. And then finally, I'm going to go with number 9, Verdad. I think it means like, I know what it means in Spanish, but I can't put it into English. But in any case, it's sort of like, yeah, like, do you agree, or something along those lines. But anyway, been running competitively in group 1s and group 2s. So taking a little bit of a down step here in class. Going to make its first start after some time off. The only other time the horse has had a first start was its debut. And it came back and it won that race. So maybe one of those horses that comes out of the barn firing. We'll see if that's the case. 1379 for the CS Hay Stakes. That starts at 11:40 p.m. Eastern. Our next race, 2 to go, Thomas. Hopefully one of these produces you got 100-to-1 horse in there. So there's a good shot that maybe one of these will produce another $30 winner. The 8th race, this is the big one on the night, folks, and it's the only one that is not 7 furlongs. It is the Black Caviar Lightning Stakes. And Tom, fill us in a little bit about the history of this affair.
Well, this is named for one of the top sprinters in Australian horse racing history. She raced 25 times. Do you know how many races she won?
25.
25. She was undefeated. She was one of the top rank horses in the world. She also won the Diamond Jubilee at Royal Ascot, so not bad. Mind having a horse that's 25 for 25, and she won over almost $8 million.
Yeah, and the horse that wins tonight, this is $1 million race here too, folks. So someone's going to go home with a big old fat check after running 5 furlongs. They're just going to run straight down this runway here, Tom, to the finish line. Is there any particular place on the course with this straight down the line sprint that you think has an advantage, or do you think it just goes to the fastest, bestest horse?
I think it's a question of the trainer jockey trying to find the right path on that course. So far is the far rail the better place to be, the grandstand side or the near rail? Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of trying to find the right path.
Well, if the right path,
they generally do not break into groups.
Just go straight
in some other areas of the world. So they will be probably, I'm thinking mid to inside, and I wouldn't mind being at that mid point in the race.
So if it comes down to early speed, the astrologist looks like he got a pretty good advantage over the rest of the field. Pretty nice price there. You got about half the field wants to be middle forward. The other half wants to be middle back. I would probably lean towards a horse that's middle forward in this situation. When they settle into position, it looks like they could bunch up pretty well, especially since you don't have a pure front runner type in here. So pretty packed situation. In that case, position will be everything. So it could convert into what they call a jockey's race then. And then on that closing speed, everybody but the astrologist is in pretty tight-knit form there. I think this race sets up, Tom, for the horse that gets the best position early on, gets himself opportunity to save a little bit of ground, and then turn the jets on down that straightaway at the end to, well, you can't really save ground there because there's no turn, but just get yourself in a good
You're
position.
Not saving any ground.
Yeah.
It's definitely a drag race.
Yeah, so I still think, though, a horse that doesn't that just sits right off the pace and lets everybody do the early work and saves a little bit for that last, 100, 200-yard burst will be the one that gets the job done here, Tom. Who do you think is going to be the one that gets the biggest check of the night?
I'm going to take number 4, Impresiera, with barrier 2. She coming into this race off of many wins in a row. And she's done it at the 1,000 meters and 1,200 meters. Her last win was at this track at Flemington. She can run on the lead. She can come from far back, so she's extremely versatile. She's 2 for 2 at this distance. Her last 3 races were in Group 1s. She is, in my opinion, the favorite, and I think she's the one to beat.
Yeah, I think the bettors have the favorite too at 9-5. I'm kind of surprised 9-5. I don't think it'll be 9-5.
I think that's. I don't think it'll be 9-5, but it'll be interesting to see where that it does end up.
It'll be lower than 9-5. I think you can count on that.
And I'm going to try a little bit longer shot than my next choice, which is number 8. I Am Unstoppable from barrier 3.
And Tom is indeed unstoppable.
She is in good form, but she's not in winning form. She's really good at running second. And she's a mid-pack type who likes to sit there and then makes her move. She did make, in one race that she ran of that second, appears to have made a premature move to the front and then got caught. She's 1 for 1 at this distance, though, which is really interesting. So is this her distance rather than trying to run her at longer ones? Maybe.
Find out in a minute.
Well, and she's never been she's got a 6-race career and she's never been out of the money. That's not bad. I take that any day. Finally, I'm going to take number 1, Private Eyes, is my final choice with barriers 8. Last 3 races, got a win, some placings, winning in a Group 2. Ran in the Everest, didn't win that one, and then ran in the Giga Kick Stakes, and these are $3 million races and $20 million races. Well, that's big money anywhere in the world. The Everest being the richest 6-furlong race in the world on turf. Comes in, some average barrier trial, but that's not a huge. Not going to drop distance from the last race. Money, yes. Could he win? Yeah. But I still like the other one, but the top choice and the favorite as my top choice as being the better horse in this race.
Yeah, I think it's the best horse in this race too, Tom. Impaired Ritz. It's going to get the surface it wants. Look at this record on a good track, my friend Tom. 13 races. Not as good as Black Caviar, but pretty damn close. 112 of the 13. So kind of hard to pass on a horse that is that sort of record on a good surface. The second, got beat by a nondescript horse, so it is by 1.5 lengths. So it is capable of putting a stinker in there. It's just a 1 in 13 chance it puts a stinker in there, and I think you'll get better than 1 to 13 odds. Number 5, my next selection is Espinoya. I think that's about right. Right now, 17 to 1 at a race that will go off a little bit after midnight Eastern, 12:15 a.m. This one matched up against the top horse last time out. That was back in November when that horse last ran. Was making up ground in that race. I would like to see this one a little bit longer. Let's see if maybe coming off the bench, the horse can be ready to go. Number 8, Tom, something I agree with you on. I Am Unstoppable. You mentioned that the horse is 6 for 6 in the money. None of them really were a bad effort. And the horse has made its way to this track 3 times at Flemington, and it's finished second every single time. So I was thinking about just sticking it in second because of that record right there. But I feel like Espiona is a little bit classier. And then finally, Tom, no handicapping needed for this horse at all. It's all in the name, my friend, Rich Fortune. Unquestionably, this horse is in over its head. There's no doubt about it. But I've learned my lesson, Tom, on horses that are 80 to 1 with the name Rich in their name in a big race. Do I need to go any farther?
Comes to mind.
Yes, indeed. So a little too many coincidences in there for me to pass on the namesake. Again, 4, 5, 8, and 6. I know you could think that's it's funny. This is a gentleman who watches us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday when we do Parks or Gulfstream, and his name is Danny Jackson. And any horses that have Danny in it, whether it's DANI or Jackson or something where his name is involved, or a niece or something like that, he picks those horses. And damn it, don't you know, they finish in the money with great regularity. So maybe there's something in the name Danny Jackson and all the folks around him and their names. And then finally, the last race we're going to do tonight, Thomas, is the Elms Handicap. As you can see, going to kick off at a little bit before 1 a.m. Eastern, a little bit before the strike of midnight at Central Time, where Tom and I live. Going to go back to 1,400 meters, going to go back to that chute, going to go around that turn, going to come home again, Tom, for the W. We'll have a belly full of those races, so we'll know what running style does best. If it is speed, keep an eye on Savannah Cloud, Cobbling, and Crosshaven. There's a name a lot of people should be familiar with who watch us. Settling position. Look at that, Tom. Again, another race. Not a pure front runner in here. Bunch that want to be a little bit, a few that want to be middle, forward. The rest want to be towards the back. That's a decided advantage to early speed types, especially since really not an outstanding closing type horse in here. So get to the front. You got a chance, Tom. Do you have any that you think are going to get to the front in your picks?
No, I don't. Kind of mid-pack types for the most part, I think, except for my third choice. But we'll start with number 11, Kai Bling from Barrier 3. Interesting career this horse has had. 25 starts, got 6 wins and 11 placings. He's done well at this distance. 8 starts, got 3 wins and 2 placings. Comes off a decent effort in a listed race at Caulfield at this distance. This is his 9th start, but the interesting thing is this is the first time this horse is going to run with a synthetic hoof filler, which I had to look up because I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And but obviously the people feel that the horse is sound. I don't think they'd put him in here if it wasn't. It is, interesting also that this is his first run at Flemington. So I'm looking for a price, and we'll see what happens. Now I'm going to take a horse who's been off 40 months. That's Windstorm. Number 8, he's going to break from Barrier 8. He ran very poorly, and then he was put away for a long time. Comes in this race with some okay barrier trials. He went 8th in his first one, and then moved up to 4th of the next one, and the times were decent. He does have a good first up record of 2 wins and 1 placing from 3 starts. Yeah, he's been away a long time, but I don't. Let's face it. Why are they putting him in here? Why aren't they put him at a lower level? Yeah, well, or a lower level, and see what you got. But they definitely have to be patient with this horse if you're going to have it away for that long of a time. That's why I couldn't leave it out. And finally, I will take one that's going to be a little more forwardly placed, which is number 4, Savannah Cloud. Barrier is 12. She lost her last 2 races, but she was facing Group 1 and Group 2 company. Drops back to a level where she's done much better in the past. She likes this distance. She's run first twice and has a placing from 4 starts. At this course, she's done pretty well. She's got 4 placings from 5 starts here. Maybe a little closer, maybe on the lead or very close to the pace. And that's really where her best efforts come in. So if I see her break and she's 8th or 9th, I'm not going to do anything.
Toss the
And
ticket
that's why
out.
that's why I put her in the bottom. I still think she's got something based on a little bit of a class relief coming into this race.
Have you ever done that, Tom? Back in the old days when you had to go to the track, go to the teller, you got a ticket, your horse got a bad break, and you just did the threw it away, and then as you watch the race, it comes back to winning. You're like, oh, and then you go to look for it, and you can't find it.
Well, you know what they call those people, don't you, at the track?
The idiots.
No. The people that go look for winning tickets.
Oh no,
you don't know.
I have no idea.
It's called a stooper.
A stupor. Yeah.
Yep. Person who stoops over looking for tickets.
I mean, when you in the old days, when we go to the OTB, they'd be everywhere, going through the trash, going on any ticket on the floor, running them through the machine to see if there's any winner. There had to be. I know because I know I've done it. At least you got to learn your lesson somewhere. Where my horse got a bad break, and I was just, young and upset, and crumbled it up, a la Kobe, and then just said, "Oh no."
I did find I did find some winning tickets. My best one was an exacta for $240.
That might have been one of mine, Tom.
This was at Aqueduct. When was the last time you were at Aqueduct?
I have never been to Aqueduct, so it wasn't yet.
That would have been.
I would have had to throw in that piece of paper a long way, and I don't have that arm anymore.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Jimmy Star. I mean, Tom, this is another one of those horses, kind of hard to overlook. It's run 6 times, won 5 of them, came in second in the other. On a good track, horse is undefeated at the distance, got a win in a second. I mean, the horse really hard to kind of back that one, not back that one up. Crosshaven is a name that I'm familiar with, Tom. Right? It's a name. It's running bigger races, I think, that we've talked about in the past,
yes,
if I remember correctly. Yeah, so many names crossed across our desks and on past performances. Sometimes I can confuse them. But in any case, Crosshaven is a horse that's won a lot of money. Its last race was better than it looks. The race prior to that, it finished second. Last time out, it finished 4th. But the 4th place finish was about a half a second faster than the previous start. And I've mentioned multiple times today why I like better fractions. Your pick, Savannah Cloud, also in my picks, Thomas. I like Savannah Cloud because the horse has performed very well at this track 5 times out. Hasn't won, as you pointed out, 3 seconds and a third in that mix. Been in the distance 6 out of 8 in the money at the distance. And this horse, 100% of the time in its first up after a little bit of a layoff, Thomas, it's collected a check. So it might not win. Could be the quintessential Tom. Might not win, but certainly very strong case to make for the horse finishing no worse than 3rd. And then I also went with the horse that's taken a lot of time off, the 8-horse Winstrom. The horse has a lot of class to it, Thomas. There's no question about that. Was a real legitimate horse before heading to the bench. I feel like this particular spot is a vote of confidence from the connections because I think they could have started it off against a softer bunch to see where the horse is at. There must be something that they're seeing in the day-to-day workouts to feel like this is a good place to put the horse back in and have a good shot to contend. You can see here in its 12 races, Tom won 7 of them. So the horse knows where the finish line is. And if he finds the finish line today at 26-1, I think a lot of folks will be kicking themselves for passing on it because it was off for 40 months. You and I have not made that mistake.
Well, we haven't been off 40 months either.
Sometimes it feels like it, though, right?
Yeah.
How you doing, Chuck? Thanks for joining us. I know Philip is cracking on us for saying, we're old with the antennas and the aluminum foil. Any idea, Tom? I know the answer to this question, but I have to ask anyway, just in case you shock me one week. Any idea what
I am going to shock you?
All right.
We're going to do subtle. It's the Winter Derby, which is, of course, an all-weather track, Tapeta, and couple of decent horses we have 19 horses listed right now, including Lord North and Astro King. And those are pretty good horses, and they're passed and they've been okay definitely on the all weather. And the balance of the card, one race I definitely will not make you do, which is a maiden race for B, C, and D types. That means most of them have never started before.
And how many are in that? Like 30?
I don't know. No, they haven't. It's just the entries aren't in there yet. They haven't taken the entries yet for that race. But darn well that one will pass on because I guarantee there'll be first time starters in there. Of course, if the name says Charlie Appleby, then then maybe you want to take a little bit of a look.
Are those Godolphin horses as well? We'll definitely let you know when that will be coming live. Follow us on our social sites. You see them streaming down below down there. There you go. Horse Race the number 2 day on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those different social sites. While you're on our site here on YouTube, kindly hit the subscribe button, that little bell, so you know when we're about to go live. We typically like to put out a notification about 30 minutes before we start. Give yourself a little bit of time to get yourself in a nice place with some pen and paper and notebook. And then when we're done, I will also, in the description below, put the race times in the video for all the races that we did. So you just go from race to race to race tonight while you are watching. There's also a link in there for a free track every day at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. So if you're betting in the States, take a look at that. Usually some very good selections. I can tell you from the races we've looked at lately, usually a Guaranteed Tip Sheet, about 50% of the time, the winner is in one of our top 2 picks. And then Terry and I will be making our picks for parks on Monday and Tuesday. Next Wednesday and Thursday, Charles and I getting together for Gulfstream Park. And then we will have a wagering guide at Guaranteed Tip Sheet next week for the $1.2 million race at on the Rebel, which should be a fun race as well. All right, Tom, that's it for you and me on this Foreign Friday. I think we're going to have a good night tonight in the land down under on a good surface, some good picks. Any final thoughts from you before we roll?
As always, I like to say, take a look at the entire card at Flemington. It's a decent card, and there's some decent benchmark races that look like they could be a very attractive possibility for some nice payoffs.
Indeed. And always, as I say, no matter what you're doing for the rest of this Foreign Friday or this wonderful weekend, folks, we certainly hope you have God's grace, God's favor. Every single thing that you do ends in
you return to the winner's circle or the winner's enclosure.
Indeed. Hope everybody's a winner this weekend, folks. We'll see you on Monday.